Much of the success of modern science has come from breaking things down into their pieces and parts. We all know that if you want to be a good car mechanic, you have to not only know what an engine is, but how to take one apart and put it back together again. As scientists have learned to break down organisms into cells, cells into molecules, molecules into atoms, and all the way down to fundamental particles or fields, we seem to get closer to achieving what some scientists and philosophers have believed to be the goal of science: to explain everything in terms of the smallest pieces and parts of nature, and the small collection of laws that govern them. It seems like this complete reduction of nature to fundamental physics, this reductionism, would refute the Thomistic notion of substances and substantial form, since everything would really just be a complex collection of particles or fields or strings. But the belief that complete reductionism is actually possible has never been more than that: a belief, a hope, a promise that we'll figure it out eventually. Scientists were able to make much more detailed and precise predictions in biology once they understood that all living things are made up of cells, and even more so when they started to understand the molecules that make up the cells and how they function. Chemistry has been able to make more and more detailed predictions once we understood the atomic structure that goes into various molecules and the physical forces involved in chemical reactions. Physics has been on an ever-increasing quest to find more and more fundamental constituents of the physical world, first discovering the atom, then the electrons and protons and neutrons that make up the atoms, and then the quarks that make up protons and neutrons, and perhaps even further. There is real and very well-established power in breaking a thing down into its constituent parts and seeing how they work together. This has spurred the half-joking, half-serious claims, particularly popular among physicists, that biology is just applied chemistry, and chemistry is just applied physics. Everything ultimately is just physics. From the earliest days of modern science, some have pushed towards a philosophical and ontological reductionism, claiming that everything about physical things can completely be said by finding the smallest pieces and the laws that govern them. Nevertheless, many contemporary scientists and philosophers of science have started to look more closely at the details of what biology and chemistry and physics are actually telling us, and the methods used in the various disciplines, and arguing that complete reductionism is simply not possible. This is perhaps most strongly felt in biology, even though molecular biology has revolutionized our understanding of organisms. We can not only talk about the organs of a cat, its bones and heart and liver, but the cells that make up those organs, and all the different molecules that function in those cells. We can sequence the genome of a cat, the complete set of genetic instructions that are used to build up all of these pieces and parts. Nevertheless, many biologists who study the details of how these molecules work together in a cell and how cells work together in an organism are convinced that the complex systems of interactions that go into a cat cannot simply be reduced to its molecules and their basic functions, or simply read off of the DNA. Digging deeper, the common belief that chemistry can really be completely reduced to physics has issues as well. It is commonly claimed that we know that temperature is just the average kinetic energy of the molecules in some collection, and this is mostly correct. But if you have a hot cup of coffee and a cool pitcher of milk, the moment you pour some milk into the cup of coffee does not, properly speaking, have a temperature. In theory, we could average over the motion of the coffee molecules and milk molecules and get a number, but no part of the liquid would actually have that temperature yet. It's only once we let the coffee and milk mix and settle into thermodynamic equilibrium that we can properly define the temperature of the liquid or part of the liquid in the cup. But the only way we have to rigorously define this equilibrium at a molecular level already uses the idea of temperature. There doesn't seem to be a way to completely reduce the idea of temperature into microscopic terms that aren't, at least in some way, circular. Things get even more complicated when we look at other familiar chemical phenomena, like the transition from solid to liquid to gas, the ways chemicals dissolve, and the rates at which chemical reactions take place. All of these are better understood because of our knowledge of fundamental physics, but many chemists and philosophers of chemistry are convinced that they cannot be completely reduced to physics alone. Even in a field like quantum chemistry, where chemists try to use the details of quantum mechanics to describe the shapes and interactions between complex molecules, only certain highly idealized examples can be completely built up from electrons, protons, and neutrons, along with the basic rules of quantum mechanics alone. Even here, chemists and philosophers argue that other experimentally derived data is needed to complete the picture, and chemistry has not simply been reduced to applied physics. It is important to reiterate that the method of reduction in science is a hugely important tool, but so far, the dream of complete reductionism is still just a dream. Moreover, there is more and more evidence and new and convincing arguments that there are important features about the molecular, chemical, cellular, and biological worlds that cannot be reduced to particle physics, even in principle. While there are a whole range of philosophical arguments that have been proposed to support these complex features of the natural world, many thinkers have looked to Aristotelian concepts like substance and substantial form to try and ground this fascinating diversity of structure that we can't seem to eliminate from nature. While the physical world is clearly made up of particles like electrons and quarks and photons, it is also made up in real ways that cannot simply be reduced of water and of salt and sugar, of blood cells and skin cells and muscle cells, of dogs and cats and trees, of you and me. Who would have thunk it? For readings, podcasts, and more videos like this, go to Aquinas101.com. While you're there, be sure to sign up for one of our free video courses on Aquinas. And don't forget to like and share with your friends, because it matters what you think.